too, but I wasn't fortunate to go to the day school. I was a student in the afternoon school, but I still have so many fond memories of walking across these halls, and I still maintain the friendships that I made here at St. Demetrius. A lot of the kids who I went to Greek afternoon school with for 6 years, I'm still friends with, and it's obviously very apparent that you guys have built wonderful friendships here, and that you'll keep these friendships as you go on to college, to graduate school, and on to greater things. I'm so happy to be here and to see your faces. As a Greek American myself who grew up here in Astoria, it's so important that we have people to look up to that can help us along the way. I was very fortunate growing up. I had a lot of mentors. I had a lot of people who wrote me letters of recommendation, who gave me advice when I needed some. So I want to extend to you, to each of you, that service from me. If any of you need a letter of recommendation, if you need some help, if you have a question, especially about going to college or what you want to do in the future, Eleftheria here is my intern at my office. You can either talk to her and come and let me know when you want to come in, or just email me yourselves. I'd be more than happy to offer any advice and any guidance I can, because I was the beneficiary of that. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and I think that we probably are very similar. I grew up here in Astoria to Greek-speaking parents. I wasn't born here. My parents brought me to this country when I was 6 months old. So all I spoke was Greek until about kindergarten. I remember going to kindergarten. I went to PS 17, and I was sitting in class, and I didn't really understand the other kids because I didn't speak English. I had to learn how to speak English in public schools. I had the benefit of having an older brother, so I kind of knew a couple of words, but I didn't speak English. But you know, looking at my parents who had a very strong work ethic, my dad especially worked 17, 18-hour days. My parents owned a small business, a small delicatessen. You know, he'd get up at 5 in the morning, work until 10 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. He took off 2 days, Christmas and Easter. Those were the 2 days he took off. Never took a vacation. He went to Greece a few times. One time was when his mother passed away. Another time was when his brother was ill. And I think that this is very indicative of your parents' stories or your grandparents' stories. We come from a culture, from parents, from grandparents who work very, very hard for 2 things: to give their children and their grandchildren a better opportunities than they had, and to make sure that we're all educated. So the fact that you guys are here and are so attentive, it's wonderful. You know, I went to the public schools, went to college, got a college degree, went to law school, became a lawyer, worked in the court systems for a little while. My first boss was a Greek-American judge. His name is Nicholas Chikalis, and he's a very familiar face in the Greek-American community. He was one of the first federal judges appointed in the United States. And there's 2 different types of judges. There's state court judges and there's federal judges. And whoever wants to be a lawyer, you should know the difference. The federal judges are the creme de la creme. They're the cream of the top. It's very difficult to get to that position. But Nicholas Chikalis was somebody who attained that. You should know that he was very politically active in his community. He actually grew up in Harlem. But he was somebody, I worked for him for 2 years, who always told me that if you ever reach a position where you could help younger people, help Greek Americans, to always do so. And that's why I want to be a resource to you. I was elected in 2010. I started my service in the Assembly last year. I had a very productive year. And I think as a freshman, I had a very productive year because I called upon the same qualities that my parents instilled in me growing up. Work hard, respect your colleagues, and always represent the people. And you know, I've done quite well. You know, we should organize a trip. Who's ever been to Albany here, to the Capitol? All right. Well, if you guys want to come back up, let me know. Organize it with your teachers. You can come up to the Capitol. We can introduce you. We can have you over to the State Senate, and we can do a little ceremony. But it's important for our young people to understand how government works and how government makes a difference in our lives. And you should know that with respect to school aid and to all of the issues that affect you personally in your lives, the government that really affect, the decisions that are made at the state and the city level are important. What we do at the federal level is important too, but they don't have quite the same effect as state government. So in Astoria, where I think that Greek Americans are very fortunate to have two Greek Americans who represent them, Senator Michael Gianaris, who was my predecessor, he was the assemblyman first, and then myself in the state assembly. And that's very important too. When Michael was leaving his seat and going to the Senate, he made certain that the person who replaced him was a Greek American. So, you know, I know a lot of you or a lot of your friends and people at St. Demetrius have interned in Senator Gianaris' office. Like Eleftheria here, I hope that some of you will consider coming and volunteering in my office or Senator Gianaris' office as well. It's a good opportunity. You guys get credit, you guys get all this other stuff that you need. But most importantly, you develop a relationship with people who I think can help you along the way. All right, well, I'm here today, in addition to talking to you briefly, to present some certificates of merit, some citations from the New York State Assembly to some students in the 10th grade who did a remarkable job collecting pajamas and books for needy children. These are children who are orphans. They don't have parents. They don't have people to read books to them at night or to provide them with warm pajamas. And the pajama program in New York City is a program that collects new pajamas and books for these children. And when St. Demetrius found out that I had done a collection like this a couple of months ago, they wanted to do it on their own. And these kids, in a matter of a very short amount of time, collected over 100 sets of pajamas for these children. And it's so wonderful that, you know, I think it's indicative of the school that you go to, St. Demetrius, which teaches you to give back to your community, which teaches you to make sure that as you're progressing in your scholastic careers, that you look back and help those who are less fortunate and who are needy. And I hope that each of you keep that wonderful quality in your hearts as you become wonderful things. I see a bunch of future doctors, lawyers, politicians, and a lot of other wonderful things growing up. I have a question. Who wants to go into politics here in the future? Raise your hands high. I want to see your hands high. Just one? Is he going to run for president of the United States all by himself and no one else wants to run for politics? Who wants to be a lawyer? Raise your hand. I don't want to be a politician. Who wants to be a doctor? Anyone want to be a doctor? Let me hear what else you guys are interested in. Sports. Chiropractor? Excellent. Sports? Who said sports? Anybody want to be an actor or an actress? Who wants to be a teacher? All right, well, the one thing I want to leave you with is that there are so many leaders in the Greek American community that are doctors, lawyers, teachers, politicians, chiropractors, actors, even people in sports. So when you guys are looking to progress in your careers, try to make contacts with those people and come and talk to myself, come and talk to Senator Gianaris, talk to the people who can act as your mentor. There's nothing more important than asking some questions, some basic questions to people and having them answered. People tell me I look quite young. I graduated from high school in 1995. I remember what it was like to have questions that seemed silly to me and I was embarrassed to ask them, but I would find somebody who was older than me, who was in the field that I was interested in, who answered those questions. And it made these, what appeared to be at the time mountains disappear, because I thought it was too difficult to go to law school, it was too difficult to do this, it was too difficult to do that. But once I talked to these people and got some advice, they really made sure that they put me on the right path. One of those people was Senator Michael Gianaris, and look, 10 years later I ran for his seat and won. So you never know what comes from developing a relationship and keeping that relationship. So I just, again, want to offer that service to each of you. I'm so proud of you just sitting here seeing all these beautiful Greek American faces out there, and I hope you continue on your path of serving your community and doing well in school. So now to the certificates. I have a certificate here for Alex Prokopiou, who I understand is not here today. So we will give this to him. When I call up your name, come and get your certificate. We're going to do a little photo, and then we'll do a little photo with everybody. Elias Tsiroyanis.